Welcome to the PinLeader podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The PinLeader podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
Well, hello everyone, and I'm excited for this podcast as I have someone who is so well accomplished in so many areas of what she does and has so many upcoming opportunities. I'm introducing Stayce Ellis Fowler, and I'm going to give you a bio. I'm going to try to do the best I can with covering all that she's doing, and I know she's going to share a little bit more about herself. But she's a lifelong learner. I love how she describes herself and has earned a bachelor's degree and an MBA, all from the University of Toledo. She has enjoyed a 23-year career in corporate America, where she obtained a Green Belt certification in Lean Six Sigma manufacturing methodologies. She's currently the owner and publisher of the Stalwart magazine, which was founded in 2020, and believes in community responsibility to celebrate others. The local magazine, Stalwart, showcases individuals that are working toward excellence in life and whose stories are meant to provide inspiration to its leaders. She's also the owner and operator of Customer Advocacy Partners, and that's actually specializing in organizational development, managerial efficiency, continuous improvement, and customer satisfaction. She's passionate about supplier diversity initiatives and building generational wealth. She's also a proud Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and she is a founding member of the Women of Toledo's Women's Business Council, and she volunteers in a number of capacities. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome today's guest, Stayce Ellis Fowler. Hi, Stayce.
Hello, Dr. Gore. How are you? Thank you for asking me to be a part of your podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're so busy. I was like thinking on the time, can she get it in? When you're running a magazine, that's exciting. And, the show is really focused on those that are leaders in the fields that they are respectfully in. And you're a leader in so many areas, so I was very excited for your time to do this.
Thank you. I'm just happy to be here. So let's get into it because, I also and look up to you too because you're a very inspiring person. So anytime I can spend time with you is just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, we all try to just keep our head above water sometimes, don't we?
Oh, we do.
Yes.
But there's so much to be done. There's so much work out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There is. So you know what? Let's start off with your passion, what you're passionate about, and why. Because again, just running a magazine, it's not the first thing that some people might think about when they get up in the morning. So,
right. And neither did I for most of my life. I really am focused on developing leaders. I not always thought of it that way. I've always been a cheerleader at heart. I've always wanted to see people do well. And so, running this magazine and being able to tell stories of fabulous people doing things in the community is just one way that I can just say, well done, job well done. Not only that, it actually, for the reader, allows people to see the journey that someone has taken to get to where they are. Not everybody wakes up, and says, hey, I'm here, I'm a leader. How did you get to that point? So celebrating these people in the magazine, you're able to see their journey and maybe inspire others to say, you know what, this person did it. Maybe I can do it too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what you're explaining too, words matter.
They do.
The words matter, and getting an opportunity to hear the positive side and sharing the stories. Mm-hmm. I think it's part of that leadership is hearing about how individuals become leaders. And sometimes I've talked to so many leaders where they don't even call themselves leaders. They're like,
True.
you know what I mean?
Yes. And most of those people, right, they just know innately that I need to do this, right? But it's so beautiful when others are looking at these people saying, wow, look at them go, and just exhibiting these traits that say, I'm going to do this not only just for myself, but others. Those are the leaders that I really like to look up to. It's not the leaders that are out there trying to do something to accomplish a goal for themselves. The ones that are out there who understand that there are others looking at them, there are others that they need to take care of. Those are the leaders that I think are just, to be celebrated, and that's what we do.
Excellent. So that's your passion. What would you say is your most prized accomplishment?
Oh, wow. My most prized accomplishment really is my children. You know how you're asked, what do you do or who are you, right? I don't ever like to start out by what I do. I am a mother, I'm a daughter, a friend, and my children are so reflective of all of my values, and it's so good to see how they treat others, right? Just and they're both entrepreneurs themselves. Yes, they are, and they are doing wonderful job at their both respective industries, which both are pretty much complementary. But it's really good to see them unfold and grow. And as I teach them about customer satisfaction and, just how to be authentic in what you do and to develop trust with your customer base, it's just amazing to see them grow. So, they're my most, I'm just over the moon with the both of them.
It's amazing too how you were able to have them give back, and it's also very exciting to see legacy, where you've been a leader, you're an entrepreneur, and now they're following. They see you doing the work, and so they're following by example. When you're making another prized opportunity, you mentored them, as you've mentored so many, and you talk about in your magazine. What kind of qualities, when we talk about leadership qualities, do you look for when you decide on who you're going to feature?
Well, I kind of mentioned it. Specifically, the people that are doing what they do, not necessarily for their own gain, first and foremost. You could be at the top of your industry, but if you don't have the character to go along with it, there's anybody can really be a boss, but how are you a good boss? Do you care for others? Because that's really important to me. I like to bring up young people, right? Young people, to me, they're so energetic, and they're so creative, and I don't like to toss them away if they make a mistake, right? So it's all about inspiring, young people. It's about, who on my cover that I write about can inspire young people. That's why I don't, in my magazine, I don't really care about what you do. I want to know how you got there, because that's the inspiration part, right? Let's teach people who read these articles what they can do and how they can pivot and how they can, grow, and what are the steps that others have taken to get to where they are. So the whole inspiration thing is what I'm really focused on. I have a lot of young people that write for me that are now I've taken on as staff members, because they have that energy and they want to learn. And I'm not going to be doing this forever. Who do I leave it to? Let's grow some young people and make so they can take the world on. Make it a better place.
So that brings me to a question that has been brought up before, and I think about those that are, they are, I'm going to say not so young, but they're actually in a stage of their life, they're going to make a change. And I notice also too that you've focused on individuals who may have had a life change, a career change in the latter part of their life, and have become leaders in those areas. So can you also speak to what that looked like and what kind of leadership qualities you saw in those individuals who are not so young
Yes.
and have made midlife change?
Yes, it's all about not giving up, right? That's inspiration in itself. So that's just like me. I was in corporate America for 23 years, and coming out of it, I actually, just by circumstance, I had to become my mom's caretaker. And it was during that process that I realized the importance of advocacy. Okay. And it wasn't just being an advocate for a company or selling a product, it's being an advocate for others. And that kind of changed my trajectory in what I wanted to do afterwards. So, I thought about some things. Maybe I'll be an advocate for people who are ill. Maybe I'll just be an advocate for somebody who is just, is down on their luck or something like that, right? Maybe, I thought about life coaching, all of that good stuff. But it wasn't until I realized that I had friends who were starting businesses that, needed help. I could be an advocate for them, which is why then I started my consulting company. And then it was about, what do I teach them? What skills do I have, to do all of this? And then I look back on my career in corporate America, I was focused on sales, but I was directed to more of the distributor type of customer, right? Distributors, they handle everything. It's like, how do you keep them on track? So that's ended up being what I focused on in my consulting company. Was I was going to be whatever the person needed, and if I couldn't do it, then I was going to connect them to somebody else. Then I just became a connector. It's how you evolve, right? The idea is just never give up. And when I see that in other people, I want other people to see that, because that's very inspiring. Nobody stays the same. I'm about change management, right? Continuous improvement. Anybody who's doing that deserves to, be celebrated. And I just think everybody can learn from that. Nobody likes change, but change is great. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I think change gets a bad rap sometimes. I've noticed that it's an opportunity. When they say, one door closes, a window opens. And so with that saying, if you use that metaphor and take it, fresh air comes in.
There you go.
And then you get a chance to say, take a deep breath of the fresh air. And be thankful that, there's
still air.
Exactly. There is air.
Right.
That's right. And that means there's opportunity.
There's opportunity. There's opportunity all around. It really is. And you mentioned earlier in my bio that I'm a lifelong learner. That's how I feel. That's where, when change happens, it gives me another opportunity to grow. I have to learn something new. I have to pivot a little bit. What does that look like? It'll never come to you if you just stay in your own silo and just worry about just having to change, right? How about you just go out there and make it happen? And, sometimes some people will say that's easier said than done, but really it's just about putting one foot in front of the other, taking that next step, because that next step will always lead to another step.
That's a good word. So if you had, and there's so many characteristics, but if you had a choice of saying, well, these are the top 3 leadership characteristics that you've seen, because you've worked with a number of organizations, and with your certifications, and then of course now as an owner, and you've worked with workforce. But when you look at leader, and you're looking at young people or people who are getting ready to make a change and become leaders themselves, what are the top 3 leadership characteristics, would you say?
Well, I think first and foremost is listening. Being a listener. You can't lead people that you don't know what they have to offer, right? And it's easy to sit there and watch somebody and say what they're doing is right or wrong, but until you talk to them and hear what their strengths are, what they want to do, maybe they may be in the wrong job, maybe and maybe there's maybe you're doing things wrong, but if you don't hear from the people that you're trying to lead, you will not really know how to get the best out of the organization, right? So listening is key. Next thing for me is having empathy.
Mm-hmm.
you know being emotionally intelligent. So all of those things, really, those 2 things really are like soft skills, right? But the last thing to me is accepting change, and not accepting the status quo. Have to be forward looking. You have to be looking for ways to improve not only your processes, but your people, your outcomes, all of that. How do you continuously look to improve upon the process? And that to me is, just the most important things, I think, in order to keep an organization, whatever that is, a family, church, whatever you're leading. That to me is what's really important.
To really further examine this,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about even ranking of importance, and with the PinLeader podcast, we talk about strength and being able to weather challenges, and keeping on the straight and narrow on staying on the course, and action and planning, and then the sharpness of having education and experience to lead. When you look at those 3 parts of a PinLeader, what would you say out of those? How would you rank that? If you the strength and the straight and narrow and the sharpness.
Well, okay, so when you talk about straight and narrow, right? That to me has to include the continuous improvement point, right? So, I recognize the fact that you have to have a strategy, and you have to be able to communicate a strategy to the people that follow you if you're leading. But the most important part of that is, I think, with the people that you're leading, they have to understand and be and understand that they have a part to play in this, right? And they're not just to be talked to. These are the people that are doing the work. You have to understand that they need to express what they know, and what bring something new to the process. Now, part of that is education, right? Like I said, I'm a lifelong learner, and however you get that education, right?
Right.
So if it's an actual, institution, college, university, or if it's on the internet, I know a lot of people who are self-taught, and those self-taught people are still very valuable to certain organizations, especially if they have all the other attributes, right? If they're a team player, if they are eager to do something great, if they are emotionally intelligent to themselves, right? Character plays a big part of that. What do you do when no one's looking, right? So that's very important to have when you're working in teams. You have to, that trust factor. You have to be able to trust people. And I tend to just give people trust until they show me that I can't trust them, right? And then you adjust, right? I think people are afraid to take risks because they may may lose their jobs over something that they may do wrong. But that's why, I mean, I love people that take risks, right? I don't throw people away. It's like, conversation then happens, right? Why did you do that? Okay, could you consider this? And the fact that you can allow people to grow, that I think builds the strength of a team. So, yeah, a lot of that goes into what, those first three things that I found most important. But I think all of that works together.
Very good. So, what on the horizon when you have a chance to sleep and get up? I don't know when you're sleeping, but what is next on the horizon? What are the goals? Again, always with planning, thinking ahead, and thinking about the industry that you're in. Right. What's that look like? Where do you with change? So, can you speak to that?
Yeah, sure. I am, as you probably guess, I am really interested in building people up, building their leadership skills. So I plan to do less of the business and try to build others to do more of the business. I think that's very important. And so I'm expanding my team, and I plan to do a lot of getting into the community and listening to the community, seeing what they want the Stalwart to be. I want to have more relationship with the community, and part of that is I'm actually growing geographically. I'm outside of just Ohio, right? We're in many cities around the country and actually around the world. It is going to certain locations where it starts with, oh, I have a friend here, I have a friend there, and you know what? Oh, let's talk about what's going on in that area. The goal here is to make sure that my audience understands that we're all more alike than we're not. Okay, and it's by telling these stories and seeing what's going on around the world that will bring us together and make us all feel a little bit better about who we are in our skin and where we live. But in order to do that, we just went online. We are now, we have a subscription at www.thestalwartmag.com.
Excellent.
And so that's been really, really exciting. After our fourth year, we decided, you know what, let's go ahead and just start this and have more of a conversation and have people be able to contact us in real time. So we're doing a lot of that. We are adding segments as we go. We're communicating with the community now in saying we want you to nominate somebody who you think is stalwart. And so we're adding that segment, which I think is going to be great because, we don't know everybody, right? It's just like, what you do in your daily life. You go through life and your job and you say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. And then you come up with something you don't know what to do with. It's right. Okay, who do I reach out to?
That's right.
So it's really good to communicate like that with the community. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that. And reaching out into the business community as well. There's a lot of businesses out there who are looking to get mentorship or, where do I go for certain resources that I need to be successful. So we're trying to see how we can get our arms around that, working with other media companies. We're collaborating to see how we can bring people together to network so that we can grow and scale. That's it. Building, systemic wealth.
Yes.
And so anyways, we're that's just starting. And so you look out for that. We're really excited that we have a lot of people that are willing to get together and network and collaborate. So that's something very near and dear to my heart.
Yes, I think collaboration does make the world go round.
It does.
And it's very important. And lifting up others, lift as you climb, as you've heard that before. But it's true. It's very true. It
Yes.
makes a difference. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for sure. Thank you. I
yes.
really enjoyed this.
Excellent. Well, we'll be rooting for you, and I'll be watching. I enjoy my Stalwart, and I look forward to the next issues. So I know many great things, both now online, which I'm excited. Which I think many magazines are understanding that it's not just print. You've got to get online too.
For sure.
So excellent. So thank you again. And I'd like to thank all our listeners out there for taking the time to be just to be part of listening into the PinLeader. And we're really hoping that, again, you picked up some great nuggets of information about next stages and understanding, transition and how that is. And, words matter, and how we see ourselves and how we talk about others in the printed word. So very important. So again, thank you. And until next time.
The PinLeader podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by Mays & Associates Ltd., creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the PinLeader podcast and share with others.